We're going to take a look at building from scratch a print template in Darkroom. Now, before you begin, you will need to create graphics in a Photoshop type program. It does not necessarily have to be Photoshop, but some sort of graphics creation program. Now, what we're going to work with is we're going to recreate this template here. Now, I created the background in Illustrator and Photoshop and put it all together here in Darkroom. So once you have your graphics put together that you want to use, from within Darkroom in the template selection screen, we come up here and we hit New. And we don't need to give this a description yet, so we can just leave these top two fields as they are. And we just want to make sure our page size is set to 2 by 6 because we're doing strips. And these are vertical, so I want to make sure that's checked. And then the rest of these settings you can just leave at their defaults. So when I hit OK, what I get is a canvas that's 2 by 6, and this is where I'm going to place all of my artwork. So the first thing I need to do is I need to bring in my background. So I'm going to come down here to Add Artwork, and I'm going to browse for this background. Now, I have this one here. It's a PNG file that I created in Photoshop, and I'm going to use that. So I'm going to select it and open it. Make sure everything is okay up here. Art Deco, that's the one I want, and click OK. And that's the background that I threw together. So now one thing I want to point out is notice how you can see the edge, these dashed orange lines here on the tops and bottom. We want to make sure that that's not visible. It's just something that it says to me that this is right up against the edge and there might be some alignment issues when printing. So what I'm going to do basically is just move it a little bit until I can see the adjustment dot here. I'm just going to make it just a little bigger. That's all I need. I'm going to use the arrow key, move it into place, and I think that's what I'm going to want. So now I don't have that dotted line showing, so the edges are well beyond the print edge. So this is my background. Now, there's two different kinds of backgrounds you can make. This one is just a simple flat background, and the pictures are going to sit on top of it. You can create a background with cutouts that the pictures will sit underneath, but for this purpose, we are going to go ahead and I'm going to click Add Photos. If I click Add Photo, what this does is this creates a single photo placeholder, and I would have to, let's go ahead and do that. It'll fill the whole strip, so what I'm going to have to do now is size this. Oops. There we go. And get this to the right size that I want. Now, there are certain circumstances where this might be something that you'll want to do. You can set 3 separate photo placeholders. You can make each one different sizes just by adjusting them as you add them. But for our purpose, we're going to add, I want 3 photos, same size, and I don't want to have to worry about sizing them independently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Add Photos. And this brings up our composite object because it's a composite of 3 photo placeholders. Now the default is 4, so it has 4 rows, so it'll going down be 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to change this to 3, and 3 rows will make 3 photo placeholders. I don't need to do anything else right now. I'm just going to click OK, and it's going to position those. Now I am going to want to resize these a bit because I want them to fit within this border line on the inside here. So I'm just going to get it roughly in place. And I'm not too worried about it right now because I do know that I want to add a border to these photo placeholders. Right now, there's not anything that really separates them from the background. It's just the edge is clean. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to come back into Properties by double-clicking, and I'm going to come to Options, and I'm going to draw a frame around the photos. So I'm going to put a check mark there, and I don't want my frame to be black. So I'm going to go ahead and make it orange, because that is a color that works with the template that I put together. And for this, I'm going to do 4 pixels. And I'm going to leave the rest of these things as they are. And I'm going to hit OK. And now notice there's a slight orange edge around the picture placeholders. So with that, changes the size a little bit. So I am going to have to bring that back in. Something like that. Maybe change it a little more. And you'll spend some time making small adjustments as you do this. The controls can be quite sensitive. There we go. All right. So now I just need to place it in the position that I want. See how much of the design I want to show. So I think I would like to have this right there so that there's just a little bit of black between the top title bar and the first picture. Okay. So now I have my graphic on the bottom, my background. On top of that, the next layer, I have my photo placeholders. Now I need to add some text. So I will come down here to add text. And this is going to give me my text selection. Now for this particular template, I decided this font fits the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to put text here and just hit OK. And there we go. And it drops it right in the middle. So I'm going to have to drag that down to here. And that's good for right now. That shows me that's where the text is going to go. Now I also have a bar up here. So my intention for that was for the date. So I'll put date here. And I know that the bar is smaller, so I'm going to change the size a little bit. I'm going to try 14 and see how that looks up there. That's pretty good. May need to change it. So now I have created my template. So what I would do then is I would come up to Save As, and I'm going to call this, let's call it Art Deco 2, and hit Save. And it's now part of my template selection. So when I'm creating an event, I can come in here and double click and change the text that I put on here for the event. So say this is Harry and Pamela. See, it's their wedding. Okay, so now it goes over the edges of the border that I had put in place. So I can do a couple things. I can make the font smaller, or I can try and let's do this. See if I can fit 2 lines just by hitting the Enter key and adjust my text object a little bit so it shows. There we go. Okay, so all right, I'm good with that. I have Harry and Pamela. And then of course I'm going to change the date. Now, because I made this so small, my intention was always that it's going to be just simply numbers. I'm not going to have the date spelled out. So let's see, let's say this is at the end of the month. And just hit OK. And I can notch that down just a little bit. I could probably make this a little bigger. If I push it up to 16. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right. So as has been mentioned before, when you modify a template, go ahead and hit Save As. Don't save over the original. So I would do Save As, and I'm going to call this Harry and Pamela. Oops. And I'm going to hit Save.